Managing moderators can support your channel in even more ways. Introducing managing moderators. These users have the same capabilities as standard moderators, moderators, but in addition, they can manage blocked words and manage chat, blah, blah, blah. We're not that big, so I really ain't into moderators like that. I remember I put one person down as moderator a long time ago because for some reason my streams were getting views. I think my highest count was like 20 people, but them days are gone. All right, that completely messed up my intro, so what's going on, guys? Today is the day that I go over the Zodiac, everything that's acting upon me, or at least most of everything, because I'm going to mostly go over the planets and I'm not really going to get into the houses and everything. I'll give them an honorable mention, but we're not going to explore that. So the way I'm going to go about this is I'm going to say, based on the little research I did and like the calculation I did to arrive at these results, I'm going to look up each of them and then read a description and see if they happen to match up with my personality. And yeah, just take it from there. In general, the Zodiac is something that I have found mildly entertaining. I used to think as a kid slash teen that there is no way that that's real. It's fun to consider something like that, but when I thought about it critically, I told myself, if the atmosphere has an effect on me, if my environment within the planet has an effect on me, and stars and everything that's outside the planet exists and it's there and it has an effect on how the planet behaves, like say things like gravity and orbiting and like spinning on an axis and stuff like that, who's to say that planets, even though they're really, really far away, they're not part of our environment and therefore are not acting upon us? I cannot prove or disprove that this stuff is real or isn't real. So I like to give stuff like that an opportunity, explore it, and see what it looks like on me. And I'm not trying to discredit the work of the people who have devoted their lives to observing the stars and being like, we have observed a pattern of behavior on individuals who, when their planets and stars and whatever is taken into account, have a certain alignment, they tend to display these traits. This is something that has been going on for a long time. So who's to say that their observations don't have results? Science is about observing something, right? So who's to say that in astrology, you couldn't perform an observation and apply it to people? So anyway, hopefully that made sense. But my opinion is I am an agnostic when it comes to the zodiac. I neither believe in it nor disbelieve in it. But hey, the stuff that I have read about it, I find that inspiring at the very least. So why would I not want to give it a positive kind of thought about it? So anyway, bear that in mind. And yeah, I'll just get started. So if you guys wonder, I was born in August 2nd. So that means that my sun is in Leo. And the initial description that Leos get is, you are likely to be motivated by the need to experience life from a place of fun, passion, and creative self-expression. Leo is the fixed fire sign of the zodiac. Its symbolic qualities are described by the physical influence of the sun. I honestly had to grow into my Leo because I wasn't always that goofy person who like every time you see a Leo, I feel like Leo's reputation tends to be that you're the entertainers. You like attention. You like to be the clowns of the show or whatever. And I always thought I really don't see that about me because I tend to be more focused and driven. But I really had to look deeper and deeper into what it meant to be a Leo. But then eventually, when I got outside of the sun, like outside the Leo sun, and I started exploring the other planets and stuff, everything started putting together, started to put itself together. But let's expand and read a little bit more about Leos, what Leos are supposed to be like. Because I remember I read something that was really cool that explained it really well. I'm sad that I didn't save it. But um, when it comes to passion, I can certainly say I relate to that because I don't like to be the kind of person who just lives kind of like aloof. At work, you can tell that I'm doing my job with passion. I always have energy, I always show up, and even if I'm having a shitty day, you wouldn't know about it because my performance is reflecting it. When it comes to my relationships, same thing. I am never too tired to do something, never too tired to listen to someone, never too tired to go out, never too tired to engage with someone in like mental stuff, emotional stuff, physical stuff, you name it. I'm always eager, so bad I can taste it. It's almost like I am jittery. Like you can see it in me. Even if I'm sitting still, the moment you attract my attention and ask me something, I can keep going. And you can tell that when I'm discussing something, I really, really like to put my mind and effort into it. And I feel like that describes the passionate aspect of it. Nothing ever is like too uninteresting for me. Like, no matter how stupid something is, I can put my mind into it and, like, what is it? Channel my energy and focus toward that. And I can guarantee you that if you're a good listener and you don't mind waiting, you're going to have a blast with me. Like, I can keep going. I'm not the kind of person who's like, okay, 1 word, 2 words, and it's over. It's like, no, I will give you everything I've got. Let's see. Leos can be gifted with outgoing qualities such as radiance, confidence, and energy. When it comes to radiance and energy, you can totally see it. When it comes to confidence, I tend to be more of a quiet, confident person. There are things about me that I may exhibit more in a prideful way because it's something that I have built myself up to be. So to describe that, when I first started my job, for example, I definitely wasn't the most confident because I didn't like the social aspect of the job. I wasn't sure how I was going to handle being bombarded with strangers all the time. So it always gave me a stress. But something that I was confident about is that even though I was new and I was clearly not the best, the fastest, the most astute at the job, I told myself, if I hold on to this and I develop my technique, it's going to be game over. I know I'll be the most competitive and possibly the top person. And it did end up happening that way. So, like, my confidence, it sort of grows as time passes and I do things. It's not like, oh, you put me in something, boom, I'm already like performing in it and I'm doing so confidently. It's more like when you put me in something that I'm unfamiliar with, I'll be reserved in some things, timid about some things, really slow on some things. But eventually, once I develop my technique and get comfortable in it, nothing will stop me. So that confidence aspect is something that I have been very aware of. It also goes hand in hand with my self-esteem. My self-esteem has never been the highest, especially when I was a child. When I was an adolescent, it started getting better. And then as an adult, it's had its fluctuations. It depends on what we're discussing. If we're discussing like how I feel about my ability to think, come up with plans and thoughts and problem solving, I'm super confident about that all day long. But when it comes to my relationships with people, I want to be more confident, but depending on the reactions that people have, I may lose some of my confidence. And in the present day, I have been exploring a lot of my past and the individuals involved in it. I've been confronting them with absolutely no fear. And needless to say, that has made them uncomfortable. And it's made me sad that I would expect that we're all in a stage in our lives when we can be mature and look at things objectively and revisit stuff from the past and not be offended by it. But not everybody can take that. And it, to me, I look at it as this is a sign that I may have discovered on this person that there's an opportunity for them to mature and grow. But not everybody looks at it that way. When it comes to that, my self confidence may be affected because I feel like I'm the one who's triggering this person into having a bad conduct because they're offended by what I'm saying. But then there's the part of me that, from a religious perspective, I find inspiration because I always think, well, there was an individual who everywhere he went, he would upset people. Not a lot of people described him as a pleasant presence. What was that? And it was because this individual invited people to be critical in those manners. So I don't know. It's really difficult for me to explain, but I have found that other people have the potential of affecting my self confidence, and that's something that I'm trying to work on. The truth is going to be the truth, but I have learned that the truth doesn't have to yell or scream, it has to convince. And I'm that person who I like to remain chill, but when the other person goes ape shit, I get intimidated by that. So, how can I, with a chill personality, address that? And then I'm thinking, wait, if I'm a Leo sign, I'm supposed to be someone who fires back. Like that passion in me grows and I will shoot fire at this person as well and make the flame bigger and whatnot. But for some reason, I am not that kind of person. I don't know if that doesn't mean that a Leo is going to manifest in that way, but when I hear fire and passion, I would think that passion goes at everything. So I should have an explosive personality. I should be the one who like loses her shit. But I don't. I used to, but now I don't because I learned that when I used to, the consequences were much worse. So that's the part of me that's like, I'm really not sure if I'm doing the right thing, but I feel like I am because I don't think that feeling my heart rate increasing and my blood pressure going up and becoming tense and like shouting and all that is a good pattern of behavior. It's not something I would be proud of. So from that perspective, I can say that that fire in me, that passion in me does not come out. Am I saying it can never come out? No, but I prefer to keep it more under control. And there's a sign that I will try to reference when we get to it that I feel acts upon me that makes me be that way, that doesn't let me go ape shit. Let's see. The sun is at the center of the why did it just go? Is at the center of the solar system, and the sign of Leo relates to qualities which encourage growth. Most often, Leos feel the need to organize and lead. Because those with the sun in Leo look at the world from a central point of view, they see themselves as the focal point of everything. Right. It is alleged that Leos really like to be the center of attention and get all the attention. I can say very honestly and sincerely that I don't like to do that. One of the greatest challenges that I experienced when I began this very channel was that my friend who encouraged me to get it going, they were like, I really think you could do it. Like, just practice it. And if you don't like it, at least you can say that you tried it and you don't have to ever do it again. And I said that the worst thing I fear about all of it is becoming the center of attention. Like, I don't like to run the show. I don't like to be the point person. I can be a leader under the right circumstances. And that is if I'm truly the most skilled person at something, then sure, throw me at it. But if anything, I like to take more of a vanguard kind of position. Like, I call myself the vanguard cashier at work because I feel like out of the entire squad, I seem to be the one who is most reliable when it comes to maintaining the flow of things. If my line gets stuck because a customer's card is declining or something, you'll immediately feel it. It's like, oh snap, like if her line is slowing down, then people are not getting out as quickly, that type of thing. I do not get excited about the prospect of having the spotlight on me ever. Like when I'm doing an interview, it's like, oh snap, like this is about me. So of course it's going to intimidate me. The only time I can honestly say that I like to be the center of attention is if I'm having like an interpersonal kind of connection going on. Like if I'm hanging out with a friend, it's like I'm gonna focus on you. And that's why I absolutely detest groups, because groups disable focus. There's always going to be that person who simply cannot keep with the flow of things, and a perfectly fine conversation can end up being derailed because of this clown. I look at them as clowns. Like, stay focused, stay with the flow, have something intelligent to say, or don't say anything at all. So when I'm, say, hanging out with someone who is involved in my personal life, nothing, absolutely nothing can interfere with my focus on this person. My phone goes to hell, television goes to hell, the radio goes to hell, everything goes to hell. My phone can buzz however many times it needs to, but usually it can't because I always have it in do not disturb, and only those with the emergency bypass can make it ring. But there's nothing I abhor more than, sure, we're like hanging out and for some reason the phone buzzes and immediately you have to like tend to it. That's dumb, that's stupid, it breaks your focus, and I resent that. So I can say that in that regard, it's like once I have my, what is it, it's like a scent that I lock onto. That's the only thing I want to focus on. That's the only thing I'm sniffing out. Like it's like locking onto it and nothing can break it. That's the best way I can describe it. So there's the part of me that when I see something about feeling, like right here it says, because they see themselves as pivotal, they naturally feel entitled to rule. I never go somewhere and think, you know what? I need to run the show because I'm the veteran, I'm the one who's best at this, and the paperwork can prove it, this and that. Like, never. My primary behavior that I exhibit is I like to see others growing. I like to be that supporting character more than the main character. And if you were to know me at my job, you'll continuously see me trying to build other people up and always advising, but I cannot ever see myself as the one who's like actually taking the lead and being the one who decides the fate of everybody. I just don't like that. I genuinely don't. So when it comes to that, I remember taking theater and being like, I really don't like the fact that the audience is really looking at me. So that's when I started seeing the symptoms in me that I genuinely do not like to be the center of attention. But as we get around to exploring the planets that are upon me, then it's going to make a lot of sense, and I'm going to point it out. At their best, Leos lead with generosity, warmth, and strength. They are learning what it means to be confident and encourage others to be the best that they can be. That, I guess, reinforces what I just said. In fact, leadership is a special quality of this sign. Others will look to Leo to provide cohesiveness and direction. Over time, Leos must learn to accept this role with humility and good grace. Humility is something that I never really dominated in its entirety. There is a part in me that's like, when I become good at it, I know that I'm fucking good at it and the best, and then my arrogant side comes out. So in recent years, that's when I have really taken the time to be like, I gotta like tone down my flame a little bit, because it's nice to be excited and passionate that, hey, my experience has built me up to be where I'm at, but it doesn't mean that I have to be continuously comparing myself to others and being like, well, yeah, remember that I'm the best. Like, I know that the rest of the zodiac looks at me and is like, shut the fuck up, Leo. We get it. You're the best. But it doesn't mean shit if you cannot act with humility. And I find that part of my cool, calm, chill, serene, what is it, mentality and behavior that I exhibit these days is possibly due to becoming more aware of that. Like, that probably is the greatest source of pride for me when I find something that I get really good at, and I don't know, it makes me feel good, but I was learning that I was keeping a lot of that to myself because there's a part of me that doesn't want to pass on something that may give someone else the competitive edge. And then when I think about it, it makes it feel like at that point, even though I don't like to be the center of attention, I'm in a sense keeping the attention on me because I'm at the top and I'm the best. So it's kind of tricky, and thinking about it now as I go and as I try to like run the show currently and describe this stuff, I came to that realization. It's like, oh snap, maybe I'm just afraid that someone else is secretly better than me, but I have to like keep everything to myself because I may give them the means to become the superior one. So like secretly, I like to be, I guess, that weapon that everybody can deploy, and you know that that's pretty much the ace that's gonna turn the, what is it, the war around. But then there's that part of me that's like, even though I know I'm the best, I don't like to be pointed out as the best, you know? So I don't know. I think it's because it makes it feel like people may be inclined to have a bounty on me or something. But yeah, I really don't like that. But when it comes to coming to me for like direction, I have acted upon that many, many times. In fact, very recently, I knew of two people who were looking for a promotion at the job, and they really made sure that they sat down to talk to me. And they said that they really benefited from talking to me. So I said, yeah, because I'm not going to bullshit you. Like, this is going to affect my future here. So I want to make sure that I do a good job and provide you with information that's actually useful for you. Like, we don't have time for games here. So, yep. Let's see. Self-assuredness and a willingness to lead often comes naturally. Leos have the gifts of vitality and popularity that assist them on the way. Because of the need to be center stage, they thrive on attention and approval. Within moderation, this is fine. When it comes to approval, that was one that used to affect me a lot. I always felt like if I didn't feel I had someone's approval, it's like, oh my God, I gotta like retreat into my shell. But nothing like that nowadays. It's like, with or without approval, it's like shit is getting done, and I'll learn experientially. But yeah, I don't really like to wait for someone to approve me anymore like I used to. But taken to excess, this can manifest as a constant. Oh, why is it reloading? Like it completely blanked out on me. Okay, here we go. Taken to excess, this can manifest as a constant search for recognition that reveals an insecurity about where their true value lies. Theirs is a journey toward developing a healthy sense of self. Accordingly, Leos are often happy in the spotlight and will readily become the life of the party if the situation requires. More retiring Leo types may avoid this attention but secretly wish it was theirs. The only time I really crave to be the center of attention is in relationships. Like in my personal life, like, sure, I want you to be obsessed with me. But outside of it, it's like, I don't care about the crowd being bigger. Like in a small crowd, which to me, a crowd is 1 to 2 people. Like, sure, at some point, if it's something that I'm really passionate about, hell yeah, I'll be the center of attention. But if you're going to be with me, I'm assuming that you're with me so that I'm the spotlight. So if you're with me and all of a sudden your attention is on something else, I am going to resent that, and I will let you know. And in the past, I used to not really say that, but now that's something that I have become very vocal about, because I feel like nowadays we have the disadvantage that there are so many goddamn distractions out there, and I resent the fact that some people may not be aware or do not have so much control over it like they should. So once I feel like I'm entering the territory of being offended because my time is not being respected, I will verbally fuck you up and let you know that I'm not happy. And yeah, so it's something that I guess I need to find ways to communicate that in a way that doesn't sound possessive or obsessive in my part, But I mean, seriously, what the fuck is the point? If you're with somebody, you would think that it's that somebody's time, it's that somebody's place. So why would you not defend that? See, like there, I could feel like the passion coming out of me as I expressed that, because it's something that I very strongly believe in. Let's see. Whilst Leos may not always want to be the center of attention, it is important they learn to develop the confidence to shine and lead, so that these gifts can be shared. Learning to be confident, despite these outgoing and entertaining qualities, those with the sun in Leo tend to struggle with deep insecurities about their value and worth. This is true. That's why I said earlier that I had issues with my self-esteem. Leos are not born for the spotlight. They are learning to be in charge. Because of this, there is an existential angst that sits at the center of the sign. Beneath a confident and sunny exterior can hide an insecure little cub. This is true. One of the things that made me saddest is when I was at my job, someone was like, oh, you have this extremely sunny personality. And then I'm like, if only you knew what is under that exterior shell. I'm like depressed, miserable, occasionally like thinking about, I just wish I could permanently go to sleep and all that. Like I have zero energy, zero confidence, zero goals, da 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 da. But somehow I can get up every single day and be out, and none of you have any idea that's how I feel. So there's that side of me that makes me feel like, am I just a master at deception? But then I think, no, because when I get into something, I would hope that you can tell that I'm really genuine. But I feel bad that I have to prove that I'm being genuine. But at the same time, I'm like, if I have a record of being consistent, then I think that should be the authenticity. What is it? The thing that determines authenticity. But yeah, like it's just strange, because I guess when I'm at home, I look at this as my temple to like completely be myself and like put down the facade. And I'm thinking, it's just, I don't go out there having a facade. Like I explained in my video earlier, like when I get upset, I don't give a fuck where we're at. It's going to show in my face, and I am not going to hide it. I don't follow protocols. So so it's one of those things that I guess I'm overthinking, because I'm like, I'm this way, but I wouldn't want to be perceived as not being genuine, because anybody who knows me more intimately might be like, oh yeah, you may see Zam in public, you know, being chill, cool, calm, collected, and like full of energy and passion, but at home she's like this wreck. Like I would expect that you respect that, because we all need to allow our vulnerabilities to show somewhere. I'm someone who never displays vulnerability. So if I'm like showing vulnerability to you, you need to consider yourself very privileged and treasure that, because I don't do that to anybody. And that's one of the reasons why I have never gone to therapy, especially when I was a teen and it was recommended by my guidance counselor. I'm like, I am not going to open up to a stranger. Period. Don't try. I'm not going to. Like I defend that with everything I have. And to this day, I'm still that way. I don't open up. So yeah, definitely that's true. Like in the outside, it's like you're going to portray this image of control and that you have everything put together for the sake of getting through it. But deep down, it's like, I'm just a cub. Like I need protection. So yeah, that makes me sad, because vulnerability is something that I certainly can say I'm passionate about, but it's also something that I have trouble navigating. Let's see. Because of this, Okay, this cub needs constant reassurance to know it is accepted by others and so fundamentally all right. And this is true, because in my personal, more intimate relationships, I'm like, sometimes I'll ask about the same thing, go over the same thing, and I'm like, I just really want to make sure that this is okay, because I know you, and if it weren't okay, I would want to hear it, and this and that. So yeah, it's that side of me that I have accepted that no matter how well things are going, there's that side of me that I guess is afraid for things to go back to not being well. And maybe that's where my obsession with reassurance comes from. And it also doesn't help that I grew up in circumstances when you were thinking that things were okay and they really weren't. So that seed was planted in me, and I guess it still is waiting to heal, if that makes sense. Maybe it will never heal. Maybe it's become a part of my character now. Let's see. This talks about the child within. Despite the apparent confidence and self-assuredness of Leo, this is actually a deeply mystic or religious sign that is intrinsically connected to the mystery of life. This is true, because as you guys know, or should know, the entire point of this channel is to ask questions, to explore, to be curious. And a lot of times I like to end my videos with a question to you, or sometimes the topic is a question that I had to myself and I'm just putting it out there, or other times it's I like to observe a lot. And I don't necessarily interact immediately with what I'm observing, but I like to wonder about everything. And one of my favorite things to wonder about is about people's perceptions. I only get to see and react to the world as I feel it, as I see it. But how do other people see things? How do other people react to things? How do other people interact with things? I like to obtain knowledge on the same matter, but from a different point of view. And one of my favorite things to do is to talk to people who are in charge, like, say, management. In the past, it used to be my teachers, because they were the ones running the show and the sources of wisdom in my eyes. So I always made sure to ask them, hey, what's the difficult part about my class, like the group that I belong to? I know that this person is really disruptive. What are the true consequences of that? What are the causes of that? In the past, what was the worst situation you encountered in the classroom? When you started off as a teacher, what was the thing that you were not confident at that now all of a sudden you're like, oh, experience helped me build myself up, stuff like that. And then presently with management, I'm always like, there's people talking trash about this change that the company has just implemented. What is it really like? What does it mean to you? What are we not understanding? Why is this change necessary? What is the goal here that made this change necessary? Because if you explain that to me, I'm more likely becoming better suited to be able to support you. But the things that I don't understand are going to be things that is going to be hard for me to get on board with. See what I mean? So my curiosity tends to be more about, I want to have the information that I need to make proper decisions on upcoming things that have the potential of affecting my life. That's pretty much it. So if you keep me well informed and do not deprive me of information, we're good. My favorite thing is to be curious. But if you're not feeding that, I may end up resenting that, because I'm thinking, what is it that you don't want to tell me? And then I develop an obsession with finding information, and then you may end up being offended that you possibly wanted for my question to die with you when I asked you and you decided to not feed my curiosity. I will go somewhere else and I may get the answer that you didn't want to give me, and then some, and then you'll resent the fact that as opposed to resorting to you, I resorted to someone else. You may look at that as infidelity, and I'm like, well, I gave you the chance. You were my first source that I went to, but you didn't shine, so why you mad, bro? That type of thing. So I can certainly relate to that. Let's see. I don't want to just spend a lot of time on the sun aspect of my sign, but I feel like I have said enough about that. Like for you to understand what a Leo is like. And then on creation, Leo is connected to the utterly human need to know the source. Just explain that. And then the dark heart chapter is within the heart of darkness, a curious beast stirs. When failing to operate from the highest ideals and motivations, Leos can become ruthless despots and manic drama queens. When they are not secure in who they are, they can become enraged with the idea that they are not receiving their rightful dues. Traditionally, Leo was called a bestial sign with all the ugliness this implies. As much as they can be light, bright, and full of shine, they can also become complaining, vain, and self centered black holes, destroying everything around them in a monstrous rage of dissatisfaction. And that is why I like to be self critical, but also invite others to do an assessment on me. Because when I had my mood out of control and my emotions were not addressed and stuff like that, I was becoming that person. I was destructive about my own possessions. I was destructive about my self image. I was just roaring and like, what is it, spitting fire everywhere. And I just wanted for my negative emotions to be the center of my life and be like, okay, I'm hurt, I'm offended, I'm abandoned, all that's negative that's ever hurt me in the heart. I made that be the emphasis. And it was more like I took this victim position, I guess, and then I said, well, I want to let that fuel me. And I guess that's one of the things that made me scared about when I got pissed off, because when I used to get pissed off in the past, that was it. Humanity lost me. I didn't care about anything. I just wanted to focus on the fact that I was pissed. And it's like, how do you recover from that? I never even noticed my recovery period. And honestly, I don't have a lot of memory of what was happening during the time that I was upset. And that makes me sad because that means that I didn't reflect on it. I deprived myself from reflecting on it because I wasn't, what is it, remembering what was happening. And I may have missed learning opportunities there. Whereas if I remain calm, collected, and serene, I have an opportunity to reflect back on what had the potential of bringing this beast out. And then I'm like, you know what? No, there's stuff to learn. You have to turn everything into a learning experience. And that's the kind of person I am nowadays. Lion's domain. Leo must have their own domain. Certain Leos gain a sense of personal authenticity by having precedence and being able to take charge. They need an area of focus where they know that they can rule. Interesting that they happen to mention the word that I personally used, which was authenticity. This can be the home, the job, or the local football team. Managed wisely, Leos blend passion, vitality, and creative interest in such a way that they ensure everyone benefits from the outcome. Passion is the key word here. For a sign ruled by the qualities of the heart, Leos tend to want to lead in whatever area of life generates passion and meaning for them. And this is true because one of my favorite things to do that is at home and my personal relationships. Like, I really like to take charge there. Failure to offer respect or question the Leo's authority or right to rule can have dire consequences. Leos hate to be told what to do and may rise up in self-righteous indignation should anybody question a decision they have made. They are best left to feel in charge of their domain, for it is here that any inherent insecurity will diminish and the more noble qualities of the sign can eventually shine through. Romance and affection. As the sign of romance, Leos also specialize in affection, grand gestures, and big gifts. Leo is connected to the expression of love. Chasing the thrill of romance is one of their favorite pastimes. This is true. I can say that about myself. When it comes to affection, I did not grow up with a lot of affection. I wasn't caressed very much. I wasn't hugged very much. Just gestures of love and affection were never really present for me. But it makes sense because how the fuck am I supposed to get that from a family that the primary signs are fucking Capricorns? Like, Capricorn is as distant from the sun as you can be. It's a lot of cold signs. I know two of my immediate cousins who are Capricorns. My mom is borderline Aquarius, but she is a Capricorn. And I'm like, Ma, all you had to do was be born like a day later and then everything would have been good. But yeah, so How do you reconcile a sign that's cold with a sign that's fiery? So, other signs that stand out in my family are Taurus. Most of the guys in my family are Taurus. My brother's a Taurus. My dad is a Taurus. And there's only one Gemini I can think of, my more immediate cousin. By immediate, I mean that they are the children of my mom's brother, and we actually did get to connect a little bit. Grandma is a Cancer, and let's see, Scorpios are also popular. My mom's eldest brother is a Scorpio. So, like, you know what I'm saying? What chance does a fucking fire sign have in a world where there's nothing but earth and water signs? I had no chance in hell of being understood, catered to, and in a sense, I think that's where most of my hurt comes from, because every time I talk about my past, I always describe it as I feel like I was the most misunderstood character ever. So, like when I say resent, I want to use that term a little loosely. It's more of I was growing up hurt, but I couldn't understand why. But now it's like I can look back objectively and be like, it's just that people just didn't know what the fuck to do with me because I was different. So there's that part of me that's like, okay, with my dad being a Taurus and my brother being a Taurus and my mom being a Capricorn, like when I started studying the Zodiac, because I was the most different between the three of them, that's when I started to understand myself better. And then I said, okay, I cannot say that I owe this to the Zodiac, but researching the Zodiac helped me make better assessments because it just so happened to match up. Like, of course, the Taurus and the Capricorn is going to do, they're going to do well with each other, but I always felt like the ugly fucking duckling, like the black sheep in the family. And I can absolutely prove it. So, like, you know, what chance did I have? Just a little lion between two fucking, what is Taurus like? Is Taurus supposed to be like a bull or something? And then a goddamn goat. You know, like I had no chance at all. And of course, scorpions. Um, Grand gestures and big gifts. I am not afraid of giving. You guys have no idea how much I have been a giver in the past 2 to 3 years because my circumstances enabled it a little bit. Like, I felt bad because I felt like if I'm someone whose finances are not the strongest, I shouldn't be thinking about spending on others. But honestly, I would do it more for the reward of it. Like every time I would give someone something that they weren't expecting, and it meant a lot to them, and I was the cause of it. It's like, there I am bringing the spotlight on me, but I'm quietly doing so. I like to create positive experiences on people. So if I have the resource to make that happen, I will do it. It's like if I'm the manager of my life and I have those resources, I want to allocate those resources somewhere else. Why? Because if you guys remember, to me, the point of life is to relieve misery. So if I am this regal sign in the zodiac, I guess the best way to represent that is I have power, I have authority. Don't question me. I am going to give you something. You will take it. You will enjoy. You be happy. Period. You know, so yeah, I am not afraid of digging my hand into my pocket for a good cause. And I can definitely show the receipts for that, but I'm not going to. But it's just that no price is like too high for me. I'm like, oh, that's what you need, that's what you want or desire or something. If it makes sense to me, I'm like, I can get behind that. I can support that. So yeah, your girl can give. And if you feel like you're not in the receiving end of my generosity that much, don't take it personal. It's more of your turn has not arrived yet. But everybody can say that at some point I pulled them out of something. And I can also say that other people, when the time was proper, pulled me out of things too. So it's not like a Leo exclusive type of thing. I'm just trying to describe that when it comes to me, don't be offended if you don't find me giving you stuff very often. It's because I haven't had the calling for that yet. Everybody I have given to, it's been out of an impulse. And to me, when I follow that impulse and it has the result of this person was absolutely delighted and happy and relieved and all that, that's what means the most to me. But if I'm going to continuously give to someone and randomly give someone something, but with frequency, and it's something relatively insignificant, then I feel like it loses its power. It loses its impact. And if I'm going to do something or invest in something, I like for it to be impactful. And I guess that can support the aspect of me being passionate. Let's see. They make warm and generous lovers who take the time to enjoy the art of love. Whilst they often display a great affection and tenderness to others that make them exciting to be around, the flow of attention can eventually become one way. Let's see. Leo can tend to expect more for themselves than they are really prepared to give. Nowadays, I can say about myself that I have become more of a giver than a receiver. But then there's the part of me that's like, maybe I need to work on my receiving so that it can be balanced. But maybe I'm also more of a giver because I'm afraid of that attention. Like what I expressed earlier about, believe it or not, I don't like to be the center of attention. So maybe there's that part of me that's like, I don't know how to describe it, but maybe I'm not prepared to be a receiver. I'm more suited to be a giver at this moment in time. Let's see. As a basically self-centered sign, Leo will easily get wrapped up in the importance of their own self-expression once they have captured another's heart. They may expect unending adoration and lavish proof of affection, but may not be so ready on the return. For Leo, the fun of relationship lies in the romance, and after the initial gestures are made, attention will likely shift back to their own demands, sometimes leaving partners out in the cold. I can honestly say that on that regard, I am the complete opposite. In my experience, I feel like I tend to be the one left in the cold more often, but I think that it's got to do with where we're at, like what our vision is when it's in the relationship, when it comes to a relationship. And I think that I have been so aware of how selfish and arrogant I was in the past that my greatest fear is to revert back to those times. So I think that I may try to overcompensate in that aspect. And that's why I'm like, you know what? I would rather just kind of be like quiet. But if stuff is too cold for too long, then that's when Manager Zam comes out and tries to like make things happen and make certain demands and stuff. But generally, I feel like I'm usually the one left in the cold more often. This can be especially problematic in relationships where the partner is less independent or needs constant reassurance themselves. In this degree, the evolved Leo should remember to ensure happiness, they should give as good as they expect. So ensuring that the flow of mutual generosity and reward stays open even when the other's heart has been won. Okay, so even though I said this like 20 minutes ago, I think it's time I moved on from Leo, but from the Leo sun. Now we're going to enter the ascendant, the rising. Learning about where my rising lies, or like, what my rising is, totally changed my life because a lot of the stuff of Leo that didn't resonate with me that I expressed some moments ago suddenly made sense. And it was a pretty exciting experience for me. So, my rising is in Capricorn. And there was that side of me that died a little because I said to myself, if I'm shitting on my family continuously, if I'm like resenting the relationships that I have had with a lot of Capris, it's like, why is this happening to me? Why? What? This is punishment at its worst. And then, like, I seriously threw a tantrum. But then, for the 10 seconds that my tantrum lasted, I was like, let me look at this objectively. What do I know about Capricorns? They make great managers. I knew that much. So then I told myself, okay, I gotta be willing and capable to be offended. So if I looked at Capricorn with a degree of resentment, then let me like humble myself and find out what this means. And it all made so much sense that I was upset that it made so much sense. So, okay, there we go. My passion is coming out again. So, let's explore. Capricorn ascendant personality traits. Your life moves at a steady and dedicated pace. You have an outward personality of success, which often draws people towards you. You come across as a shrewd workaholic. Capricorns are ambitious and have long term goals, which they work hard to achieve, though at their own pace. So, from that, I can say that yes, I do like to feel successful, project success. But my definition of success may not accompany what the Capricorn may value. Like, say, financial success, monetary success, that has never been an interest of mine. I honestly could not tell you what the definition of success is to me. If you're getting by, to me that's successful because not everybody can say that. And I feel like that's the bare bone minimum and it's sad. But I also value the fact that you're not obsessed chasing something that once you have it, you may not even know what to do with it. My life moving steadily and dedicated. For sure, I can say that because as you can observe, I still maintain the channel. I have been present here for about 7 years now. And my side hustles, ever since I began them, I'm still to this day persistent, continuing. And pretty much all of my relationships, I can say that the ones that I have begun and anybody who I have declared being close in my personal circle, I have remained in touch with those people continuously. And I really enjoy being dedicated in that regard. When it comes to my job, same thing. You guys know that I have been at my job for 9.5 years. So if that doesn't show steadiness and dedication, I don't know what the fuck will. So right off the bat, those are the things that I can describe. You come across as shrewd workaholic. I wouldn't necessarily describe myself as a workaholic, but when I am at the job, I am devoted to the job. But I'm not the kind of person who's constantly staying after for more hours and stuff. I do that, but very, 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 very seldom. It's like you, as a manager, have to convince me that without me, this place is going to hell. That's what it takes. If it's not that bad, then I'm taking my bag and leaving. But I like to be smart about the way I do things. Like if I'm going to be on the job, I'm like, I ain't going nowhere. So I might as well manifest intelligently while I'm here. I don't want to be that dumbass worker who doesn't achieve much or contribute much in the 8 hours that they're there. And I don't mean that to offend anybody, but I don't like people who are physically present, but your soul, heart, mind, spirit, thoughts are like fucking elsewhere. Where are you? Why be here if you're not going to be involved and invested and passionate? That's one of the things that sometimes I want to beat into people. I want to beat passion into people. Like, don't be sleepy when you're here. Don't be a complainer when you're not the best performing person in the team. I am. I have a right to complain, and I don't. So where does that leave you? And once again, that's where my arrogant traits come out that I have to like keep in check. So yeah, I can say that I can relate to that aspect a little bit. But workaholic, I think I'm my own personal workaholic. I would rather be a workaholic on the channel and a workaholic on my side stuff more than a workaholic at my official, real, like 9 to 5 style kind of job, traditional job. But I'm not really picking up extra hours like that. Whereas a lot of caps that I know are definitely doing that. Like the people whose sun is in Capricorn, if we can even say that those people have a sun from how cold they tend to be, yeah, they are definitely staying after. And I guess it goes with their ambition. Do I have ambition? No. And that's something so sad about me. The only thing I can say I have an ambition on is relationships. Like, I definitely want to be married, but I don't want to necessarily be married and have kids. I don't want to be married to someone who's like rich or something. I just want to be able to have a relationship with someone that's so legit and strong that it leads to that. But outside of that, I don't have an ambition for money. I don't have an ambition about, ooh, I gotta be that person with the latest tech gadget that's like shiny and new and it can do all this type of shit. I don't need the new car. Like, my car is another example of me being dedicated to. It's about to turn 10 years old on March the 30th. It'll be 10 years since I've had that car. And I have no intention of getting rid of it or replacing it. So from that perspective, I can dig it. Long-term goals, I really cannot say I have any except maintaining the stuff that I have mentioned. Like, say, I would like to continue to survive at my job, because I mean, if I leave it and I have to start over somewhere else that's on the same level, I'm not going to be as comfortable as I am now, because I have to start in a new company, start at the very bottom again. Whereas at my current company, I'm not at the very, 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 very bottom. Job wise, I may be. But when it comes to like the benefits that I have obtained and the things that I have accrued, I'm not so much near the bottom. And then work hard to achieve those goals at their own pace. I like that aspect of at their own pace, because there's a lot of things that my spirit animal, being the turtle, definitely depicts about me, which is just taking my time. Like, I didn't start driving until I was 18 years old, but officially driving by myself, that didn't happen until I was like 20. So yeah, nah, it took me a long time, and it wasn't a lack of confidence. It was more of a, driving is dangerous, and I want to indulge in it when I'm actually prepared mentally, physically, emotionally. And if you wonder about physically, it's being able to remain focused and have good reaction time. So I wanted to get into it as responsibly as I could. And I think that I have done a good job if I have driven for 10 years with absolutely no incident. And yeah, it's one of those things that make me incredibly proud, because I understand that a car, something going wrong can change your life in an instant. So why would I not want to be dedicated and careful with that? Let's see. Let's dig a little deeper into what an ascendant in Capricorn does. Um, let's see. Born with Capricorn rising, you may notice a duality in your nature between someone who is, on the one hand, serious, organized, and capable, and on the other, uncertain about their ability to achieve all the things they want. On the aspect of serious, organized, and capable, absolutely. I'm that person when I'm at work who's like, okay, we're at work, we need to get serious, we need to get organized, we need to make sure that all of our materials are here, da 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 da. And when it comes to capable, it's like, yeah, I'm capable of maintaining that stuff that I'm demanding. So it's like my passion that Leo provides is in there, but also with the focus on, hey, we're here for business. So I guess you could describe my ambition on the job as the ambition to maintain the position of being the best. Like, I want for our area to be distinguished for being the one that's always clean, always well stocked. I'm that fucking person who, as soon as I run of a supply, or better yet, I don't wait for my supplies to be gone. It's like, if we're running low, I'm already dialing my manager. I'm going like, receipt paper, where is it? When is it coming? Or like, say, if I need other materials such as bags, my bags, where are they? When are they coming? Don't play with me. If you say 10 minutes when there's like 2 minutes to go before the 10 minutes hit, I'm like, okay, where are we on the stuff that I requested from you? So like, I want to say that I certainly take great pride in that. Like, I guess it goes with the way that Capricorns are supposed to make good managers. I guess that I show that in that manner. Um, Uncertain about their ability to achieve all the things that they want. Because I don't have a lot of wants, honestly, that I can really dig into, besides I would like emotional stability and like a more, what I said, solid home life or something, then I really don't know what that means. I'm not sure what it means about uncertain ability to achieve things that I want when I really don't want much. So I'll have to think about that one. This is a curious combination of capability and caution that usually becomes balanced over time. The characteristics of Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, are pronounced, lending you an executive ability, patience, and the ability to master difficult tasks, whilst at the same time generating fear, awkwardness, and an inclination toward pessimism or negativity. I can say that. I have been accused a lot over the years of being pessimistic, and I'm like, there's a difference between pessimism and realism. And the reason I'm becoming pessimistic is because my experience has granted me a degree of wisdom to be able to very comfortably assess a situation and be like, yeah, this is going to have a terrible outcome, but all you have to do is stay calm. It's going to be okay. Like, stay calm, ride with it, believe in the process, we'll get there. But when it comes to mastering difficult tasks, there's really not a whole lot in my day that I encounter that's difficult, except the management of difficult characters. For me, the most difficult thing about my job and really my existence in general is dealing with people's fucking attitudes that upset me. Like I have said before, I generally tend to be a chill, collected, calm, laid back person. But when you become a clown, I really frown at that behavior. And all I want to do is rectify it. Rectify it as if you're my own child and I have to discipline you the way that I was. So yeah, when it comes to executive ability, for sure. There's something that I learned from somebody that really helped me organize the way that I tackle things. And it's problem, information, observation. Wait, no, I'm sorry. It's problem, information, options, select, execute, and evaluate. So that's the part of me that's like, that's the way a manager thinks. But there's also a part in me that's like, do I really have to take things that serious though, continuously? But there's a side of me that's like, I just can't help it. When it comes to patience, guarantee you, I am one of the most patient people you will ever meet, unless we have a conflict. And the best way I can describe the conflict element is if you say that my appointment starts at 12, I'm going to be there at 11:55 so that by 11:57 I can finish signing myself in, checking myself in, sitting myself down, but I only want to wait for no longer than 3 minutes. And then at 11:59 with 58 seconds, I want you to be calling my name so that at 12 I'm already walking through the door. That type of thing. I like precision. If there is going to be an issue, I like for it to be something that I am giving a heads up on. Like, hey, you can anticipate a delay. You can anticipate that the person that you were prepared to see is not going to be here, so don't freak out if you don't see them, something like that. If you inform me of something that's getting ready to change, how the show is run, then, good. We're going to be fine. We're going to be tight. But if I show up somewhere and you keep me waiting for a ridiculous amount of time and you don't clarify what was going on, I resent that. It makes me upset. Why? Because that's not something that I would do to you. I like to keep you informed. I am organized for that reason because I know the psychological effect this can have on people. So I expect to be respected the same way. So when it comes to patience, I like to say that my patience is best exhibited in I just don't give up easy. And an example of that on the job would be when a customer is wilding up, I'm like, okay, what can I do to address this situation? All I do is I stay calm and I keep my softer voice and I'm like, don't worry, it's your turn. We got this. Because I find that some people tend to be like, let's say that you're trying to find your coins, like you're paying in cash and you want to pay with exact change, but then you look to the side for some fucking reason and you're like, oh, there's a lot of people behind me. Here, take the 20. No, take your time. It's your turn. So if you want to pay with exact change, just do the math. Take your time. These clowns can wait. This is a waiting game. Life is a waiting game. So like, don't alter your plans because psychologically you are influenced by feeling like you're inconveniencing others. No, it's your turn, and no matter what happens, I have to sit with you until the end of time if I have to, because that's what I got hired to do. That's what I'm getting paid to do. So, me personally, I can display patience in that manner too. If I'm going somewhere where the flow of things is unpredictable, like say, if I'm going to be, sometimes I need to go to the office store to print stuff. Sometimes there is a line at the printer kiosk. I have a black belt in patience because I know that some of those people just do not know how to fucking run the machine, and they're gonna scramble, they're gonna look for an employee, but the employee is gonna be tied up with somebody else, blah blah blah. At that point, I make sure that my phone is at like 90% plus battery power, and then I start grinding in there, replying to comments or like sending promos for my stuff, whatever it is. But I can turn that situation and still use my time wisely within it. When I can do that, I'm not upset. But if you guarantee that the flow of things is going to be like smooth and I get there and it isn't, I get pissed because all I want to do is point out your inefficiency. And let's see, I haven't interacted with any of the comments. Hello, hello, we'll comment later, just saying hello, hello. Okay, you're back. Hello, would you tell the others to be patient in the line? You know, I don't like to say that. I honestly, and that's probably a bad thing, but when I'm running my register, I don't tend to tell people, hey, sorry for the wait. Thank you for your patience. Like, we'll be like, no, that should be an assumed part of the process. You can expect that you may need to wait. Whereas if I say, please be patient or something, it's like, I only say that to the person that's in front of me. Like, if the customer I'm dealing with is impatient with themselves, like say, oh, I'm so sorry, like I can't find my change. That's when I say, take your time. It's okay. Be patient. Like, keep looking or something like that. But like the rest of the line, I never even acknowledge their presence. Sometimes I'll be in the middle of dealing with my current customer and then some goddamn person shows up and starts saying, where are the pickles? I ignore that bitch and I continue my focus on my current customer until that transaction is over. That other person has one of two options. Either they wait for me to be over and not bother finding someone else who's better suitable to take care of them like there always is in the store, or they can get louder and attempt to attract my attention, and then I'll be like, I'll be with you in just 1 second. Every single time I say I'll be with you in just 1 second, it's never a second, so they fuck off and do what they were supposed to do in the beginning, which is don't interrupt a process that's ongoing when it's not your turn. What's so difficult about that? Be educated. Be well-mannered. So from that perspective, that's when like the fire in me comes out, like my regal Leo side comes out, but also the Capri side is saying, you gotta be patient, you know, stay calm. It's not your turn. I'll be with you. You gotta trust me that I'll be with you. But it may not be at the time that you want, which is you want me to engage with you immediately. And I'm telling you, it doesn't work like that. You take it or you leave it. So yeah, that was a really good question actually. Let's see. But what if you got that one jerk who is freaking out behind? Okay, ignore like you. Yeah, like you can freak the fuck out at me. That shit doesn't intimidate me because at the end of the day, it's not like I'm going to cancel the transaction I'm on and be like, okay, impatient clown, come over, your turn, because you don't have control of your emotions and you don't know how to organize your time if you're here in a hurry. Like, to me, you're never in too much in a hurry to be anywhere. Speeding is not justified in my book. Being an asshole at the register is never like justified in my book. So I'm not going to do that, because if I do that, I am like succumbing to your pressure, and I wasn't born to be pressured into doing stuff that is not right. It's not your turn. That's not how we do things. That's not civil. So no, like I have had that person who like sometimes is like and doing things, but that's when I was new. Nowadays, I am so fast and so efficient at my job that every single fucking day I do my job, I get someone say, "My God, you're so fast." So I'm so fast that by the time the customer is done paying, I'm done like bagging and putting things together. And the receipt prints usually after I'm done. And they don't have time to like really lean over the counter and just watch me scanning and bagging and doing things. Like, you don't have time for that. A lot of the times when you're done unloading your stuff, I'm that stuff that you just unloaded, I'm on the bag that I opened up to have that bag like ready to put that stuff in, and then I'm watching you pay. If I could record myself doing my own job, I would show you guys and prove it to you. But you just have to trust me that one of the things that people say about me is that I'm really fucking fast. And in a sense, there's a part of me that maybe I developed that because I noticed that that's like the pacifier that I can put on people. My line is never usually backed up. And even when it looks backed up, I knock it out quick. Usually when I get backed up is because someone does not have their money or they do not know where their card went or something. So yeah, in a sense, my flow of things, because of my experience, I already know how to tackle something in such an efficient way that the freakability of someone is greatly diminished. And again, if I could show you, like, it would make so much sense. But every time I train somebody, I always tell them, this is going to happen to you. You're going to have people freak out, have meltdowns, make comments about how slow you are, this and that. What you do is you very kindly invite them to use self-checkout if you want to, because that's not a good thing to say, because in a sense, you're trying to say that you're pulling that can be perceived as you're pulling yourself away from the job. But if a person is really in that much of a goddamn hurry and they only have two things, go figure it out at self-checkout. That's why they're there. Self-checkout is supposed to be an assistant to the primary cashiers, because I don't see the point of you just having one little item and you just go to me for me to go bup, tell you the total, and then you have to fumble for your fucking card and insert it into machine. Like, the cashier is supposed to be for more complicated orders that are big with a lot of produce or whatever the hell that actually requires like searching. I, as the human, am saving you from the search because I already know how to input this information into the computer. But if you go to self-checkout and you have like an entire jungle in your shopping cart, it will be a painfully slow process for you. Don't do that. I have had people get mad at me when I'm managing self-checkout because they're like, this is such a slow process and you're just standing there not helping. I'm like, I can't help you, bitch, because I have other people I have to be available for when they scan an alcoholic beverage, for example, and I have to approve it. That's one. Second, other times the machine may say that my approval is needed for other reasons. I'm not going to do the job of the cashier who actually has an assigned lane for them to do the cashier shit that you want me to do for you at self-checkout. Self fucking checkout. Why don't you get it? Never in my life have I gone somewhere with self checkout and expected for someone to fucking do the scanning and ring it up for me. No! How stupid do you have to be? I hate that. That's the part of me that's like, I wish I could roast these clowns, but I can't. So there's also the part of me that is like, had this happened to me when I was new, maybe I wouldn't have handled my temper quite as well. But nowadays, when I hear someone say something stupid like that, I have gotten so good at my ignoring game, because what I like about ignoring people is making them feel embarrassed. Embarrassment tends to be the very thing that schools people much better than any kind of chastising can. And I think it's because when you're embarrassed and that's the way that the spotlight is on you, how do you recover from that? So the best thing to do is to avoid the embarrassment in the first place. But I feel like that's always been that most difficult thing for me. That hardest task in my day is remaining chill when I want to school people who are clowns. But also, because of the social media culture that we have going on, what if people who behave like clowns in public do so because they don't get attention any other way? Like outside of being at a store, you have to cause that scene because that's the most attention you're going to get in your day. Because usually the people who give me the toughest time are always by themselves, and they tend to be up there in age too. So usually older people may be alone, and shit's not looking good for you. Not always, because there's a lot of salty younger people out there too, but usually these people are loners. And I think that when you're with people, you're less likely to act up because you have a reputation to protect. And those who are with you are either not going to allow it or you'll damage their perception. And to you, that's important. So, yeah, I think that ignoring shit is really the best way to go, because I'm telling you, they have no choice but to be embarrassed. And also, you're trying to get a reaction out of me. And to me, there's like, my Leo's gonna come out again, regal Leo. I'm arrogant. I like to think that I am special. Like, for me to talk to you in any way, address you in any way, is a privilege. I don't go around acknowledging every stranger that I see on the street unless they're dead ass on my face and I have to be like, excuse me, or I'm sorry, I need to slide by you to grab this or something like that. No, I don't speak to you. You are not worthy of my time. But if you're someone I'm tight with and you're part of the squad, it's like, I'm a little cub, a little lion, a little kitten lying on my back, just rolling from one side, rolling to another. Don't scratch my belly, because as a cat lady, like, belly scratches are not nice, but it's like I'm just a cat, like Dusty when he starts rolling around. Like, that's how I am, like showing you my vulnerable organs, like I'm making dropping my guard. And but if you're a stupid ass stranger, no, you cannot pressure me into anything. And even if you're someone who I know well, the only way you can pressure me into something is if your idea is far superior to any idea that I have personally had. That's pretty much it. But yeah, I never let those people mess me up. Wait, how are you two? Science, I'm a Leo too. Okay, so this stream is about all of the planets that are acting upon me. So I am a Leo sun, but my rising is in Capricorn. So right now I'm going over the description of an ascending in Capricorn and the effect that that has. So it's pretty much a sign, but what are the sub signs? So my primary sign is Leo, but beyond that, what planet was where at the time that I was born, and the description of that. So yeah, if you were to watch the stream from the start, then I go over some of that. So I gotta go over the ascending, which is what we're on now, and then we'll go over my Saturn, my Mars, my Jupiter, and so on and so forth. So yeah, so you do have more than one sign acting upon you. So we're exploring what my Capri ascending does to me, and whether or not I can say that that's a thing that works on me, or what is it that I can relate to. Let's see. This is a curious combination of capability and caution that becomes balanced over time. Da da da. My page refreshed, so now I gotta figure out where I stopped. Ambition is often strong, but so can be crippling. Doubt about your ability to achieve what you're set out to do. For a well-rounded picture, your qualities of your sun sign and house should be considered, as well as the qualities of your moon sign. And when it comes to achieve what you set out to do, I like that because if you remember the description about my Leo, it said something about we tend to be devoted in our spirituality, like in a certain way. And I like that it says that, because now that this thing said that achieve what you're set out to do, one of the things I like to manifest about myself is every decision that I make, I try to make it suitable so that when I get to do what God made me to set out to do, I gotta be prepared to act upon that. So the best way I can describe it is, not only do I believe that the point of life is that you're there to relieve misery, but also I keep very present in my mind that those impulses and callings that I get is because God is using me as an agent to fulfill something, to help his will manifest. So I also like to think of it as I have to be prepared to do whatever it is that he put me here to do. So it's cool that this says that in that manner, but I don't look at it as, oh, I have the goal of being a millionaire. So therefore, I'm going to put in the effort of becoming a millionaire. So that is what I set myself out to do. So therefore, no, it's not like that. It's more on the spiritual realm. My ambition is more tied to what is it that I was put here to do, put here to achieve. And the best way I can describe that is in my day. Sometimes I have episodes in which I'm like, wow, usually this is the route that I take home, but instead I decided to take this other route. And then I discovered that the route that I intended to take originally, a wreck happened and it wasn't cleared up for hours. I would have been stuck there, but fortunately I wasn't. Why? Because I was able to tune into the signal that protected me from facing such a thing. Does that make sense? It's more like the mystical realm. And another example of that is, I don't remember if I shared with you guys my story of how I nearly got hit when I was crossing an intersection because my light was actually green, but someone dead ass ran their red light and they could have totally rammed into me. That it was the weirdest thing. I never ever ever feel like hesitating, or like I'm not like a jackrabbit when I'm accelerating, but sometimes I deliberately take a chill approach to accelerating. I'm like, how much control over my foot and the pressure I'm applying do I have? That's what I did during that incident. Had I done my normal accelerating and going a little faster, my car would have been totaled. Like, I would not have a car like my car right now, for sure. Because that clown was coming super fast and he was going straight for my nose. All of those components. So that I said, thank you, big guy. That was definitely a sign, because a lot could have gone wrong that fucking day. And I have instances like that very often. Another thing that I experience is seeing the future, which the best way I can describe it is, shoot, I forgot the example I had. But I know with mom, I asked her something and then it turns out that it happened days later. And I'm like, do you remember when I just asked you about this and that? Well, it totally happened. That happens to me so often. So that's one of those things that makes me feel like in the spiritual realm, I'm special because I dominate that. And I feel like I have become connected enough with that realm. But there's also the side of me that's like, I still define myself as an agnostic. Like, because I cannot prove scientifically that this is real, there's a side of me that's like, maybe it's not real. Maybe it's just that I just have too many coincidences having in my day. Who says that's not possible? Or maybe I pay so much attention to everything that goes on around me that I'm able to generate memories of that happening often. But maybe on average, I'm scoring the same in the coincidence scale as other people. But then there's the side of me that's like, I really want to be a believer because of what I expressed earlier in the stream about the zodiac. Like, there's people who have been observing the stars for so fucking long that they were able to find some patterns and define them and establish them for the zodiac. Why would I want to discredit or invalidate their years of research? So why would I want to invalidate the years put into a spiritual guide type of thing? Does that make sense? So there's the part of me that's like, I want to respect your effort, but because it's not so easy to prove, I'm not 100% convinced. See what I mean? So yeah. Okay, let's see. How do you keep your connection? You mean like my so-called spiritual connection, my actual internet connection? Or like, what kind of connection do you refer? If you mean interpersonal connections, I make it all about that person. So like, if that person is present in my life, then of course I have to focus on them. Now, when it comes to spirituality, I think that what I describe as spirituality may simply be heightened awareness. And the best way that I can define that would be, earlier I said that I'm not easily distracted. When I focus on something, it's like let's say that I close my eyes. I take a deep breath. What do I smell? Well, I smelled the lingering scent of that panel in my car that had the detergent poured all over it. That panel was here against this wall. It's been raining, so I couldn't leave it outside to dry because it's been raining. So I had it here in my room, like against the wall. But also, some of the stuff that was on the trunk, like the boxes that had my car supplies in it, it's right there. I took that deep breath and I was able to pick up on that lingering detergent scent. It was very faint, but I was able to lock on to that. Now, if I were to close my eyes again and take another deep breath and focus on the fact that I have a candle burning, I'm like, I can smell the lavender that the candle is oozing. Spiritual terms would be something similar. It's like I find a scent or like a radio signal. It's like your radio. If you have a radio in your car, you can dial, like turn the dial, and it'll pick up a signal, and that signal may be really clear. Let's say that you're on 101.1 FM. That may sound super clear. 103.09 may have like a little bit of static. I'm like, I'm not going to stay tuned in to that radio channel because I don't understand it. I don't hear it. It's not intelligible for me. And then I keep going with the dial, and then I may run into another channel that's somewhat clear. There's a little bit of static, but not too much. I may survive it or I may not. And I decide to dial back to the channel that had the most clarity, the 101 channel. That's really the best way I can define how I maintain spirituality. It's like my ability to focus and literally marry whatever I'm focused on is what helps me specialize in my ability to tune into shit in the spiritual realm. That's really the best way I can describe it, because I'm telling you, this comes out of nowhere. I don't look for it. I don't summon it. I don't say a prayer that's like, dear God, show me the way. Nothing like that. It's like an impulse. Something is up in the air. It's like my gut feels it, and I act on that impulse, and that's all I can think about until I fulfill that impulse. And it's just weird. Another time, I happened to, I had a really long shift, but someone asked me to switch. But switching meant that my shift became shorter for that day. It's a good thing that that shift was shorter, because my mom ended up needing help. And I had to come home immediately after work, and I told her, hey, it's your lucky day, because originally I was supposed to have left 3 hours later, but now I get to leave home 3 hours earlier, so I'll be there in 20 minutes. Where does that come from? I'm usually not someone who switches. I'm usually not someone who gives up shifts or picks up shifts. So that's the kind of stuff that reinforces me feeling like I can tune in to signals from the universe. But at the same time, I'm thinking, I'm just a little ass mortal human. There's no way that I can have those powers. But then I think about my cashiering experience and the skill level that I have. After 9.5 years of showing up to almost all of my shifts and practice, 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 repetition, 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 who's to say that my ability to pick a topic and be like, today I'm going to talk about the Zodiac and I'm going to focus on that, period. Why wouldn't I become suddenly better versed in discussing the Zodiac? After I'm done with the stream, I know that the next time someone brings up the Zodiac, I'm going to be able to engage in a more fruitful conversation with that person, because I took the time to go through the process of exploring my own Zodiac. So why on God's green earth would I still remain at basic level? I should be able to elaborate from this experience. That's what I mean. I feel like that's what helps. But in the spiritual realm, it's like those things that I consider coincidences, who's to say that I haven't been paying attention to them to where I can make that happen more often? You know? I wish I could explain it better and have better examples, but it's just, it happens, and sometimes I don't identify it as maybe something spiritual just happened. It's hard. You just gotta be there to see it, I guess. Detergent panel. You answered a question before I asked. I know of what you speak. That too. A lot of people tend to say that sometimes I tell them something that they were getting ready to ask someone else or ask me, and it's like, oh shit, you already went over it. How does that happen? Is it just because I like to share my entire thought on something, so therefore it doesn't leave room for questions? Or, like, where did that ability come from? I'm not educated. Like, all I have is like 12 years of fucking public school education in the United States, which is like not even a top, like, world level. What is it? We don't rank very high in the education sector. So is that a superpower? But why is it that some people have it and some other clowns don't? That's what I'm set out to find out. But I know I'm never going to find out the answer to that in my lifetime. But I like to wonder. And maybe because I'm continuously wondering about that, it's like in the back of my mind. And maybe that's why when something happens, it's like, bingo, bingo, that. So in a sense, that's one of the things that inspires me to maintain the channel, because I feel like this serves as evidence of me sharing my own personal anecdotes, and I can be like, see, I have a record of describing these things, you know? So yeah, it's interesting, very interesting. Why do you think education or position are of importance to an ability? I think it's just social influences. Like, people are going to respect you more inherently if you are college educated. Like, say, if I were to apply for a job that pays $500,000 on paper, who do you think they're gonna go for to give an interview to? The person who has accredited degrees and shit, or the person who just says that they have a high school diploma? They're definitely going to go with that other person. Now, me personally, individually, I don't believe in degrees. I don't believe in your intelligence being defined by that stuff, because I know a lot of smart ass people that are smart in other ways. You may not be the best writer. You may not know how to spell. You may not know how to like dress, match, or whatever, but you contribute great ideas. I gotta respect that. I'm not the one with the bright ideas. I have to respect you, whether I like it or not. So, to me, that's one of the things that I hate about established society. It's because of all the fakery and disingenuous stuff that happens. There is a lot of deception in this world, and I think that when you get, say, a college degree and all of a sudden it's like people gotta bow to you, I'm like, why? What? Some of the dumbest people, in my opinion, I deal with are highly educated. You're only highly educated in your area, in your focus of study. But you have to be adaptable. You have to be willing to face topics that you're not very good at, you're not very comfortable at, and be like, okay, I'm no longer the best in my field, but who cares about that? What matters is that I'm here to learn. But some people, it's like the moment that you take them away from their area of expertise, they are nothing but zombies. I hate that. I don't engage with people like that. I don't care how big your bank account is. In my book, you're stupid and I don't have time for you. In the same manner that you shouldn't have time for me, because clearly I don't belong on your like social bracket. I don't care about that. So there are some people who are well educated who happen to, make you may be able to survive with them outside of their field. But unfortunately, these nerds out there, it's like you may be a grandmaster at whatever it is that you focused on because that's what you invested in. But what about the rest of life? Why can't you cook, for example? Like basic survival stuff. Why do you neglect that? Let's see. So, following that thought, imagine the ability is nature versus social conditioning. Would this make sense? Absolutely. I think that most of the problems with humanity now is that we have become so detached from our natural wiring that now these abilities are abilities that we have always had, but they're getting lost because people's focus is changing. Like, say, if you're spending so much time relying on a phone, like you have a question and you're like, oh, how much is 2 times 2? You're Googling it as opposed to trying to think about, well, if I have two of two things and I duplicate it, if I duplicate something, that means I'm making a copy of it times 2. So if I do that, 1, 2, plus these are like duplicated again. So 1, 2, answer must be 4. Why aren't you doing that anymore? Why is your curiosity no longer like, what happened to your investigative side? That natural ability for you to take something, question it, examine your surroundings, and be like, I can collect evidence that when it rains and the sun shines and the ground has nutrients, plants can fucking grow. Whereas if I take a plant that's natural to a rainforest and I try to grow it on beach sand that stays dry, it doesn't fucking grow. What could be causing that? What could it be? We don't do that anymore. Now we're like, why can't I grow a rainforest tree on sand? That pisses me off. Exercise your brain. So maybe, say someone like me may look like I have brain superpowers, like intelligent superpowers, when in reality is simply heightened awareness of questioning, a higher level of questioning. I think that's what it is. And you guys, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to bail because my mom got here. So I'll create a part 2 in a couple of hours. I'll see ya.